Hello everyone, welcome to BISP Solutions. So let's start with today's session. The first topic for today is manage invoice holds and releases. So this is one of the options available in accounts payable. We can use manage invoice holds and release page to define our holds and release for invoices. You can assign the hold to invoices and the invoices can't be paid until you release the hold. So basically, this holds and releases are used to hold the invoice. Like if you have created one invoice, but you want it to hold for the payment, then you can go for this option to hold it. And after that, when you want to pay for that invoice, you can go for the option to release the same. So basically, this is what invoice holds and release uses for. There are two types of holds which can be seen here are first system holds and the second one is the manual hold. System holds are like when we create invoice, the invoice amount and the line distribution amounts should be equal. If there is any variance in that, then system will automatically create hold in it. And the manual holds are like which are created manually. We can create invoice, and if you don't want to pay, like you don't have a sufficient amount in bank, so you want it to hold for the payment, then you can manually create a hold for the same, and whenever you want to repay the same, the invoice need to be paid, you can just manually release the hold from the invoice and then it will be available for the payment. So these are the two types of holds. So one by one we are going to see both the hold system and manual. So let's go to the application and see how you can create holds and release on the invoice. So for creating holds and release manually, we need one task, manage invoice holds and release, where we will create one hold and we will create one release for the same, and then we will see while creating invoice how we can use the same. So let's go to the application. So after logging to the application, you need to go to settings and actions. From there, you need to go to setup and maintenance. Now setup will be financials. Now we will search for the task. Okay, fine. Now we will search for the task with the name manage invoice holds and release. So here you can see manage invoice holds and release. Just select this task. Go to this task. So this task is useful while creating a manual hold and release. So we are doing the setup for manual hold and release here with this task. Application is responding a little bit slow. Okay, fine. So for creating a new hold and release, what you need to do is you just need to click on this add icon. Then a type. We need to give a type. So first we will create invoice hold. So type will be invoice hold reason. Then the name, like I'm giving for demo purpose, demo no funds as the name. Now description, demo no funds, using the same description as name. Then you need to enable this allow counting and allow manual release. When you will enable this option, then only you will be able to manually release this hold. That's why this option enabling of this option is important. So after creating this hold, just save and close. So this is how you can create an hold. Now we will create one release for it. So for that, just click on this add icon again. Give the type. Here is invoice release reason. Give the name like I'm giving demo. Funds available. And giving the same description as name. And save and close. So this is how easily you can manually create one hold reason and one release reason. Now how we can use this? For that we need to go to the payables work area. So for that we need to go to navigator. Now here we will go to payables. Under payables we need to go to invoices work area. Now we will go to task list and create invoice. It's loading. Okay, fine. So finally it's got open. So before showing you the manual hold and release by using the manual hold and release reasons which we had created just now by the task manage invoice hold and release, first I will show you how system can automatically provide a hold. Like for example, when there is a difference between invoice header level amount and line levels amount which we fill here, then system will automatically will create the hold for the invoice and will not allow us to proceed with the payment. So let's first see system hold. Then we will continue with the manual one. So for that first we need to give the supplier. They will create invoice. Select your supplier. Give the number. Like I'm giving HR 1. Give the amount. Like I'm giving 1000 here. Now let's fill the line information. Let's give the amount here as 1000. Let's give the distribution combination as well. let's select the account for which you are creating the invoice. Select account, say OK. OK. So you can see here, I have given amount as 1000 here in header level, and in line also I have given amount as 1000 only. But this is without tax here at the header. So in header, what we have to do is we have, if your supplier is coming under the taxes, then you need to give amount here in header including the taxes. So my suppliers is come fall under the taxes. So tax I have not included here. I have just given the amount excluding the tax. So on validation, system will create a hold on this invoice because of the line variance. So let's see how system will work here. Like we will go to the invoice action and we will try to validate the invoice. The status will come needs revalidation rather than validated because of the tax amount not included in the header level. So you can see needs revalidation, and if you will scroll here, you can see 1095 is the amount at the header level and we have given due only 1000 here. So there is variance due to this tax amount here. So if you will go to this needs revalidation and if you will just click here also you can see here line variance is coming and there a system hold has been created to this invoice. That's why it is not got validated. Fine. So for removing this hold, what you need to do is you need to give here amount including the taxes. Now again go to invoice action and validate it. Now you can see it's got validated. Here also amount is same. So this was the one example that how system can create a hold on your invoice. Now for manual creation of the hold, so like we will use the same invoice we have created and validated. But now we want not to pay this invoice, we want to hold this invoice for the payment further. So what you can do is after creating the invoice and validating, you need to go to invoice actions and you need to go to manage holds. Now here, just click on this add icon to create a hold. We have made this hold reason demo no funds. Just give this name and reason. And save and close. Then now you will see again the validated status will come into needs revalidation. Let's just save and close and see. Now you can see here needs revalidation is coming. Now if you will click here, you can see here manual hold has been created on this invoice. Fine. Now if you will try to pay this invoice, like if you will go to invoice action and click here pay in full, it will not allow us to pay. It will give us a message that you must validate the invoice before it can be paid. So this is how this invoice will get holds from creating a payment. Now to remove this manual hold which we have created, what we can do is we need to go again to this invoice actions, go to manage holds. Now here under releases, give the demo funds available which we have created, a release reason, and save and close it. Now you can again see the status changed it to validated. Fine. So this is how you can create holds and releases manually. So what we have seen the invoice holds and releases. First, we have seen how system create holds and how after working with the problem or variance which for which system has put a hold on the invoice, when we will correct that, the invoice automatically gets releases. Then also we have seen how we can manually create a holds and releases here. Now after doing all this, just save and close this invoice. System is very slow, and 2 points I would like to add in this holds and releases is like if you want to put this hold at the business unit level, then for that you can go for the task invoice option, and there you will see one option as hold invoices, unmatched invoices. You can enable that. When you will enable that in invoice option, then at the business unit level only this invoices get hold. Like whenever that business unit will comes into picture, holds will come into picture. Fine. So I'll quickly I will navigate to you to the invoice option from where you can give this option of hold. Setups and maintenance. Give setup financials. Give task invoice options. Search for the same. Now here make sure that your business unit is correct for which you want to configure this invoice option. Mine is US1 business unit only. Go to the task after that. Now here you can see under invoice entry one option is coming, hold unmatched invoices. So when you will enable this option from here, so that when whenever this US1 business will be selected for creation of the invoice, at that time all the unmatched invoices will be hold. So this is how you can fix the holes from the invoice option at the business unit level. Now, if you want to enable this holds and releases at the supplier level only, So for that you need to go to the supplier side, and there also you can do the configuration for payment holds. So for that you need to go to navigator, go to the procurements, go to the supplier, search for the supplier for which you want to enable this holds and releases. That's payment control. Payment hold control is the option which you will see there at the site level. First search for the supplier. Now go to the sites level. Open the site. I'm just showing you the options from where you can give holds at supply level also. So for that you need to go to the sites, and you should edit it, should edit the sites in, should open the sites in edit mode so that you can do the configurations. Now here you need to go to the invoicing, and here you can see payment hold controls is coming, where you can hold all invoices. If you want to activate that, hold unmatched invoice, hold unvalidated invoice, these and payment hold reason. So this also can be configured from the supplier levels also. So if you want to configure it from the supplier level, you need to go to the supplier side. Under invoicing, you can see the options, payment hold controls. Fine. So this is two other ways to create holds and releases at business unit level, and after that we have seen also for supplier level as well. So this completes our invoices and release topic. Now let's move to the next topic for today, is the invoice tolerance. So invoice tolerance sorry. So invoice tolerance determines for variance between invoice and the documents you match them to, like say purchase order. So when there is invoice is created and when there is a purchase order, so whatever the variance between the two is determined by the tolerance. Tolerance is up to what percent per amount variance will be allowed is determined here. So it helps us to determine the variance between invoice and per se purchase order or any other document to whom you matches your invoices. Fine. So this is what tolerance do. It determines the variance between the two. Now, how you can fix your invoice tolerance? Like if you want to allow no variance, then the percentage tolerance will be zero. Like if you want, say you are creating invoice and whatever the amount of percentage is shown in invoice may not differ with purchase order at all, then you need to fix your tolerance at zero. Fine. If you want a low tolerance to come into place, you need to specify any small percentage for the tolerance. And if you want infinite variance allowed, you no need to activate any value for the tolerance here. So this is what tolerance do. Basically, it's help us to know what is the variance between the invoice and say purchase order, so you can control that variance. You can know the reason for the variance in it. Now the next thing is you can create tolerance in Fusion based on quantity as well as amount. So quantity based tolerance apply to invoices with a match basis of quantity. So basis for quantity based tolerance is obviously quantity here. Now there are various types of quantity-based tolerance which can be set up here is like ordered percent maximum order. These are two types which comes into play when validation check the build quantity against the ordered quantity. And if you will select quantity-based tolerance on receive percent or maximum receive, then at the time of validation, it checks the build quantity against the receive quantity for determining the tolerance. And there is price percent, the percent difference more than the unit price and purchase order schedule line than in invoice is seen here. Then the other options under quantity tolerance are like conversion rate amount. So here validation compares the ledger currency amounts using the invoice and purchase order conversion rate respectively. Then schedule amount, it variance between all invoice amount in the entered currency and the purchase order schedule amount. So variance are seen under all the invoice amount and in entered currency and the purchase order schedule amount here. Then the total amount, it variance allow for both conversion rate and schedule as we have seen above. Then there is consumed percent and maximum consumed also. So it on validation check the build quantity against the consumed quantity. So here are the various types of quantity based tolerance which you can select as an option when you will create tolerance in the Fusion application as per your requirement. And after quantity based, there are some of the amount based tolerance also. It applies to invoices with a match basis of amount. Obviously, as name suggests, it's based on amount. So here also you can see various options like order, percent, maximum order. So on validation, it checks the bill amount against the order amount. Like in quantity, it uses quantity as the basis. For here, it will check the bill quantity against the ordered quantity. Here in amount, it will check billed amount against the ordered amount for the variance. Now the next is receive percentage maximum received. On validation, it checks the billed amount against the received amount. So basically, when you will create invoice, you do the validation, it will check the billed amount against the received amount, and it will help us to know the variances between the two. Now there are some more amount-based tolerance are like conversion rate amount, validation compare the ledger currency amount using the invoice and purchase order conversion rate here, then the total one. Fine, so these are some of the invoice tolerance. So basically invoice tolerance help us to know the variation between the invoice and say the document with which you are comparing your invoice, say purchase order, and then you can fix invoice tolerance on the basis of quantity or amount. There are two types available. So let's go to the application and see how you can create a tolerance there. So let's see. Let's go to application. Go to settings and actions. Go to setup and maintenance. Again, go for the setup financials. And here we need to search for the task, manage invoice tolerance. We use this task to create the tolerance. We can create tolerance on the basis of amount or quantity. So let's go to manage invoice tolerance task. Here you can see already created one. To create a new tolerance, just click on this add icon and we will create one quantity and one amount based tolerance both. and then I will show you how you need to set up and where you need to set up this tolerance so that it can come into play. So for name, let's say we will give the name, say let's start it with demo. Amount ordered by, say, let's take 5%. If you want to add description, you can add. Now here you can describe or take the type as quantity or amount, whatever you want. So first I am creating for the amounts. So here are all the tolerance which we have seen in the PPT. Order, percent, maximum order, receive percent, maximum receive, conversion rate, amount, total amount. So basically it's depends upon the user that how you can create on the basis of what you need to create your tolerance here. So for example, let's say I'm creating here for the maximum order, say, then you need to give a tolerance limit here by 5%. So I'm giving tolerance limit here as 5. Fine. So I have enabled only this maximum order. You can activate or enable all other options as you require. Like if you want maximum receive also, you can enable this and you can give your tolerance limit here. But for now, maximum order is fine. So this is how you can create tolerance and just save and close. This was amount based. Now let's see one as quantity based as well. So let's click on this add icon. Give name here. Like I'm giving here, say, percentage of quantity. You can give any name here as you require. And let's give type as quantity based only. We are seeing one amount based, and you can see options here under quantity based. Like I want to enable here, say tolerance at ordered percent, giving the percent as 5, and I want to give as receive percent also, so I will enable this and give the receipt quantity tolerance limit, say here as 5, and like I also want price percentage also, say here tolerance limit as 10. So this is how you can create your tolerance. After that, just save and close. So this is how you can create your invoice tolerance from the task manage invoice tolerance. Now after that, you need to go to invoice options, and there you need to give the tolerance which you have created. So search for the task invoice options. When you will specify this tolerance at invoice option, then it will come into play. Whenever you will create invoice and you will validate it, it will check the tolerance for the same. Fine. So go to manage invoice options. Now here you can see matching. Under matching, quantity tolerance and amount tolerance is coming as option. So you can select here like what we have created was with the name of percentage of quantity, and here what we have created was with the name of demo amount ordered by 5%. So you can just create and give your quantity tolerance, amount tolerance here at the invoice option level, and just after giving it, save and close the same. So it will be done. Fine, but right now I don't need this which I have created for demo. I need my original one only, so I'm just cancelling it, not saving it. But when you create it, you need to save it here after giving your quantity and amount tolerance here. So this is at the invoice option you can give. One more thing here, if you want to give tolerance at the supplier level, as we have seen, we can give hold and release at the supplier side level. In the same manner, we can give this tolerance at the supplier side level also under the same type of invoicing. So I'm just navigating you to the supplier again, and I will show you from where you can give tolerance at supplier side level also. So go to procurement suppliers. Search for the supplier with the name Dell. Just Dell. Then go to the site, invoicing, you can see. Under invoicing, you can see here quantity tolerance and amount tolerance is also coming. So when you will open the supplier in edit form, you can see this option will be available and you can give your quantity tolerance and amount tolerance under this controls under this invoicing tab also. So here also you can configure the tolerance level at the supplier level. So this is how you can do your invoice tolerance on the basis of quantity and amount. Now moving towards the next topic, like when we create an invoice, we need to pay it. So there are various options to pay it. Like when we create invoice after validating under invoice option, you can see option pay in full. From there you can pay your invoice, or you can go to the payments work area, and from the task list you can select create payment as an option and you can create your payment. But this is helpful for creating payment for one invoice or two invoice. But if there are in bulk there are invoices, then it will be not possible to create payment one by one for each and every supplier. Fine. So for that there is a concept of payment process request, which is our next topic. So we can use payment process request um, to process the payment in bulk. Fine. So there are three steps there. First, we need to create a payment process request template. Then after creating a template, you need to submit and process your all the payments in bulk at the same time. So first we will see how you can create a payment process request template. This template help us to avoid repetitively fixing all the options for running our payment process. Like let's go to that task first, then I will show you. Let's go to navigator and payment work area. The payables there is payments. So we have payment process request template. It is a group of installments submitted for payment. By using template, you can minimize data entry for frequently used payment processing settings, can identify cash requirement, and can schedule payment process requests to run on a regular basis. Fine. So what all we need to specify here in template is selection criteria on the basis of which your invoice will get selected for the payment process, and then payments attribute and processing options. So let's go to task list and then go to manage payment process request template. And for creating a new template, click on this add icon. Give a name to your template first. Let's say demo template 1. If you want to add type to your template, you can add like for daily loans, expense report, EFT, for what you want to add, but for me not required. Then if you want to add description, it is also available optionally. Then you need to give a selection criteria. On the basis of that only your invoice will get selected for the payment. So first is like pay through days. Pay through days are like, for example, if you give here as 5, then what will happen? Oracle Pay will add 5 days to the system date to calculate the default pay through date when you initiate a payment process request. So on that, this pay through days will calculate it, but I'm giving 0 here. Then there is date basis priority you can give, it is coming by default, that is fine. Then date basis can be due date or pay date. Then if you want to give any specific pay group or currency or pay business unit, legal entity or source for which this template will work, you can just go for the specific option and can add any specific thing you want. But for me, I'm giving for all pay groups, all currency, all business unit, legal entity and source. Then I want to add my supplier. Select it, say OK. Fine. Now other thing is like supplier type, payment method, invoice conversion rate type. If you want, you can add here, include zero amount invoice. So this all configuration you can do as per the requirement. Then the next thing is payment and processing option, which you need to do. Like we need to give a bank account here, payment document, payment process profile. Now processing option, it is coming by default review proposed payment. It helps us to review the proposed payment, but I'm enabling review installment as well and create payment files immediately as well. So if you will enable review proposed payment, review installment, then what happen? It will not create payment file immediately. It will allow us to review the installment, review the proposed payment while processing of this request. When we will run this PPR, that is payment process request, then you can view your installment and proposed payment and only your file will get created. So this option will help us. Then what is this? Apply credits up to zero amount payment. So for that, let's go to the PPT. So this concept is like you can enable the option cause the payment process to apply credit when credit reduces the amount payment less than zero. So when your amount reduces less than zero and the payment amount is less than zero, then only you can enable this option. Like for better understanding, we will take some example. Like here in this scenario, cost invoice amount is greater than credit amount. Say your invoice amount is 200 USD, your credit memo is 125 USD. So your payment amount is 75 USD balance. So this amount is greater than zero. So in this scenario, this option will not comes into play. It will have no effect. Now let's say there is one more example where credit amount is greater than invoice amount. Say invoice is 200 USD, credit memo is available against this 225 USD. So payment amount is now negative 25 USD. So now as payment amount is less than 0, this option is available. So what will happen? It will apply, credit memo will get applied up to 200 USD, making the payment amount as 0, and remaining credit amount will be 25 USD. Now taking the third scenario here, like if credit amount is greater than invoice amount, then invoice amount is 200 USD, credit memo is 225 USD, and payment amount is negative 25 USD. Now, if you will not take that option, this option is available here. But if you will not enable this option, you will disable this. Then when at the time of process run of the payment, in this kind of invoice will not get selected for the payment process here. So this option will help us to take the invoices which payments are for less than 0 amount. Like here in this example, a negative 25 USD was there. So if you want to enable, you can enable this option also as per your requirement. After giving all this information, you need to just save and close your template. Now the next step is to submit this payment request template for a run. Go to task list. And submit payment process request. Search for your, first give name to your payment process request like demo PPR1 and give your template here which we have created just now. So here it is demo template 1 which we have created just now. Select and say OK, and then after that submit it for processing. Now just submit this. Okay, so there is some error. Let's see once again. Let's go to submit payment process request again. Giving the name here as say PPR new one, and let's select the template. Now submit it. Again, it is not taking process. Submit single request wasn't submitted because of it. Okay. Let's create one more template and try once again. Let's click on this add icon. Let's give the name. Give selection criteria. the supplier. Let's give the bank account. Payment document. Let's get payment process profile also. Review installment, review proposed payment, and create payment files immediately. Now just save and close this. Okay, done. Now let's see again whether it is submitting or not. Let's go to submit payment process request. Give the name here, HTTPR, and select the template. Let's search with the name HT. Select and say OK. And submit it. Again, there is some error is coming. Okay, fine. So I will take this PPR topic in some other session. For now, I'm stopping here. And in today's session, we have seen how we can create holds and release, and we have also seen how we can create invoice tolerance, and we have also seen how we can create a payment template. In submission, there are some errors coming. I need to fix it. So I will show you that thing. I will continue that thing in some other session. So that is all for today. Thanks for joining.